But some people be playing with you, but other people don't be playing. For real. They just don't be playing. It's all about choices. People got their own choices. We use fucking technology every day. We use technology. Some type of technology. You get up, you pick this phone, you get that phone up. The phone help you stay in contact. The phone let me hear music. These are smartphones. You don't want to hear music? Ain't nobody gonna stop getting the phones. You're not gonna stop buying. Nobody's gonna stop buying phones.
You're right. Smartphones have become so essential to modern life, work, and communication that a total boycott just isn't realistic for most people. Instead of trying to stop everyone from buying them entirely, the focus is shifting toward more sustainable options. Right to repair, making it easier and cheaper to fix our current phones instead of replacing them. Longer software support, pushing companies to provide security updates for 7+ years so hardware lasts longer. Modular and ethical brands, supporting companies like Fairphone that use recycled materials and fair labor. The secondhand market, buying refurbished devices to keep existing e-waste out of landfills. Are you looking for ways to make your current device last longer? Or just thinking about the bigger environmental impact?
I like my fucking phone because it's big and I can see it. I can push the buttons and everything. The way the privacy is, it's not trying. I don't think that. I ain't gonna say everybody, but I don't think you can't take AI from everybody. Like, yo, some people my partner, that's what I was showing y'all when it got to the other end, when it made full circle, y'all didn't want the show. My partner got that. Look at this shit. This the shit. My fucking nerves right here. Sorry about that. But if we fail to level up and innovate, like be able to make a movie or something like that. If you look at my man Dan Calloway, when I go over and I'll tell you look at Dan Calloway, it's what you want to look at. If you don't want to go learn history, don't go learn history. If you don't want to know about your history, you may find that you have something that somebody might want, and you can make it. You can sell that. You can barter. You can barter it. and make a better life for you and your children. Generational wealth. What motherfucker wants to tell on people making money? I'm not advocating violence, but I'm like, yo, what nigga went to the the people and said, yo, um yeah, I use these. You just went and told them that you use bots. Like, what kind of shit is that? Like, if you trying out a new technology or something like that, yo, bro, why would you go to the Department of Justice? I don't get this shit. Like, let me show you. know what they saying. It's money that you can't. It's money you can't conversate with. You just can't conversate with. Like just this was my therapy, and then somebody said my therapist name. Like, what the fuck? That could be a way of warning or whatever, too. To invest in something, you don't gotta invest and stop investing in the company. I just wouldn't invest in that or something. That's just me. That's my opinion. Because somebody was trying to tell me something, but I was always on board with it. I wasn't with these other. So I'm on my business about the other part. You handle that part. So everybody should have their position in the company. So when I wanted to go live about something last night, I couldn't, and I'm glad I couldn't because then I would have show. Some people you don't never talk to them on the film. You don't never talk to them. You don't never talk to them on the phone. The way they the way they carry themselves, you see they carry themselves as a gentleman, so you would know when they talk, they're gonna talk. Hmm. So I'm like right now. I guess some information people what people do. Look at the wait for it to show up. And then show. But I just look at analytics or something. Yeah. Is it? Just look at the analytics. See what AI would cut out. What if you got a partner that's somewhere on the other side of Earth and all y'all can do is just make the signs, whatever, and y'all just shooting pow pow pow. Nobody can't hear you out there. It's, it's telling you like tranquility and you just shooting animals or shooting at something else. Now, that's a drastic drop down there. People won't be trusting people and it's crazy to be us doing it to us. Like who, like what man, what, what man would want another man or here to call them out their name and then try to tell everything about them to their family and try to break their family up instead of just letting it stop right where it was at. Even though I helped you all that time, maintain your dignity by continuously sending you money so nobody wouldn't know that I left you down there.
Background check on every applicant. None of this running on a handshake stuff. Well, last spring he had 2 solid applicants for the same unit, similar income, both employed. So he went with the one who had the higher credit score, and that's reasonable, right? That's what a lot of landlords would do. That's what you're screening for. Well, 3 weeks later, Brian gets a letter, not from the applicant he turned down, but from the applicant's attorney. And the claim wasn't that he was discriminated against or that he picked the wrong tenant. It was that the second that he chose one applicant over another based on that credit score, the law required him to hand the tenant, the specific tenant, a specific notice, and he never did. You see, he didn't even know that it existed. And that's a trap almost every landlord I talk to right now is standing in. And at the end, I'll show you the bigger exposure that even from a perfect paperwork standpoint, you can't be protected from. Okay,
So I like to flip houses. I don't like to be a landlord. I like to just flip the house, get my money at the table, and just be done with it. And then give it away to a, a realtor, tell him to sell it. So if this AI coach right here, he don't he like got an AI coach. You know how long I've been using AI? I ain't even know that that's AI when you chatting on that thing. That's AI. I guess that's yeah. They say that they got AI. They're AI people.
Go back to Brian. All right, two applicants, similar income. He picks the one with the highest credit score. Okay, as we stated, that makes sense. You see, that decision was based on the report, and it's unfavorable, the law says, to the person he turned down. Adverse action. So you do approve someone, but because their credit was shaky, you tell them all rent has to be paid in certified funds. Okay, so in that case, you see they got a problem with their credit report, and you then change how you're going to get paid by that tenant. Okay, so you said yes, but it doesn't matter. You see, now you condition the lease on something you found in the report, adverse action. So you have to be very careful here when you're pulling reports and how you talk to the people that you even decide to rent to. Or is this
See, I don't be wanting to pull people credit report. Like that doesn't define who somebody is. It's a credit report. It don't. It don't define who a person is. Just like an indictment. Yeah, that shit don't define who a person is. Junior. What about the good all certain people did that that you don't they don't tell you don't tell nobody about it. You don't want to be known that you did something. Just doing it.
by the report? Adverse action. Cosigner, bigger deposit, higher rent, certified funds, one extra document. Every one of those can trigger the same legal duty as a flat denial. And I see this a lot when it comes to having people co-sign on rental applications. That is a huge problem that landlords are not aware of if it's triggered by something they see on the report. Now, here's a wrinkle that catches people. If you deny the main applicant, that denial is also adverse to their co-signer. So it can be a second notice you owe to a second person. So the universe of things that count is enormous. The question is, what does the law actually make you do about it? You see, when you take an adverse action based upon a consumer report, the FCRA requires you to give the applicant an adverse action notice. You see, it's a specific letter and it has to contain four things. Okay, number one, notice that you took the action. You're telling them in writing or even orally that the answer was tied to your report. Number two, if you use
Now, there you go. And people don't read their contract. A woman took me to municipal court and tried to sue me. I said, "Damn, you don't read." There's a clause in there, paragraph 10. That's what it was, paragraph 10. So she ain't had no choice but to honor paragraph 10. The judge, she ain't had no choice but to honor. Like, yo, you didn't read this? I'm not moving in your house. I just know how to flip it real quick. Because when I come to there, I done looked at all of the numbers, see how much it costs, how much everything is in the area is selling for everything. And then I call one person. Hold on one second.
conditional yes, assume
trying to call these people. They haven't putting this dumb. And then the stuff that they telling you to help yourself out, put put this stuff on here. Now everything become a spam call. I'm taking this shit out, man. And, and mom is on shade room. Mm.
A notice is owed and send it. And there's no penalty for sending a notice, even if you didn't owe them a notice. The penalty is only run the other way. When you don't
You
provide.
know what's crazy about this though? Why, like this dude telling this, saying all of this stuff? If he telling you wrong, why y'all trying to hear him? If he telling y'all wrong, and somebody that's just the same color skin as you could tell you right. But I read Donald Trump book. I read, um, so I read a lot of books, but it was just something in every book that I took that I'm sorry. I'm trying to go over that. But when I like show my report had just came in for my new, I get two. It reminds me every year that it's time for my annual.
Provided and you had to. Okay, now what happens if you don't do this? So let's talk about that. What actually happens to Brian? Well, the FCRA spills or splits out violations into two buckets, all right? If the failure was negligent, you just didn't know, honest mistake, the law says you're on the hook for the applicant's actual damages plus their attorney's fees and court costs. So this is what I alluded to earlier. Attorneys troll for this stuff because it's free money for them. Okay. Now, there's one that I really want you to hear because the internet gets it wrong constantly. If the failure was willful, and willful in this law doesn't mean you were malicious, right? It includes reckless disregard, which is a pretty low bar, and a different section kicks in. Under it, the applicant recover either their actual damages or statutory damages between $100 and $1,000. So read that again. Statutory damages. That means the applicant doesn't have to prove they lost a single dollar. They're just entitled to the money. They don't have to show anything here in order to get that. You see, the damages are baked into the statute. So on top of that, the court can add punitive damages if they determine that you're maliciously acting that way, plus your attorney's fees. They're already added in. On top of that, if they show a pattern of behavior, you can see this starts to ratchet up on you because they want to send a message to you. So, and every applicant you took an adverse action against is a separate count. So that's the problem. If they find other people, and this is what I've seen happen before, attorneys then will try to get your applicants that they've applied to your building to rent property from you, and they'll go through that, and then they'll say, all right, we're going to reach out to all those to see if they were affected the same way. So one bad week of screening, 4 applicants, 4 missing notices, and you can see how a paperwork slip becomes a real number really quick. And this is exactly why, as I stated, all these attorneys across the country that operate in this space, they see this great fee shifting opportunity for you to pay them. All right. It's what makes the attorney's time worth looking for these missing one-page letters. So the exposure is real, and it's federal, and it's almost entirely self-inflicted every time I come across this. Now, the good news is that the same statute that creates the trap for most of us who are landlords that were unaware of it also hand you a way out. Now, this is the part that I think is really important. And again, no one's going to tell you this unless you're watching videos like mine. It's that the most important sentence in the whole law is for an operator. You see, the FCRA says you're not liable even if a notice was wrong or missing. If you can show by preponderance of the evidence that you maintained a reasonable procedure to assure compliance. Okay, so in plain English, what does that mean? That the law doesn't demand perfection, right? It just demands a system. So if you have a repeatable process for handling adverse action and you can prove it, and a one-off mistake then doesn't automatically sink you, that's your shield. So you have to show, hey, this is what I normally do. Yeah, maybe I missed it this one time, but I have a system set up to notify people when there's an adverse action. So what does reasonable procedures look like? Well, this is the framework I teach. It starts with a one decision rule for your whole operation. Any answer that isn't unconditional yes triggers a notice automatically every time you send it out. You could probably set it up in AI to do this. So there's no judgment call in the moment. You take discretion out of it. So as a busy, say you have a busy leasing day where you see 5 or 6 people coming to look at your units. All right, that's it. It's really simple. It'll just happen for you. Then you use a compliant form for every one of those notices. And here's something most landlords don't know. You see, the Federal Consumer Financial Protection Bureau, so much to say there, published sample notices forms that you can build from. All right, they're free, they're available to you. They were written primarily for a sister law, so they're not plug and play for the FCRA exactly, right? You have to make sure all 4 elements we covered here on this video are actually in there. But if you use them correctly, leaning on these forms is one of the cleanest ways to show that you were trying to comply, because the federal government actually puts out these forms. You just need to modify them. Now, the part where most people get hurt isn't the form itself, it's using it wrong. So, checking a reason that doesn't apply, forgetting to check a reason that does, sending it late, a form filled out carelessly can be worse than, of course, no system at all, because now you've documented your own mistake. And that's where you have to be super careful. So building the actual procedure, triggering the rule, the right form, the documentation that proves the system existed, that's where the work is. And it's worth doing properly with someone who does it for a living. All right. So what I would advise you to do, okay, maybe you reach out to a local attorney who is a landlord attorney and ask them to walk you through the process and help you create your system and your forms around it, because you do not want this exposure. All right. So here's the thing about Brian. Let's say he fixes all this, perfect notices every time. He's now protected from that specific lawsuit, but he's not protected from the next one. Okay. Think about who actually sues over a missing 1-page letter, right? It's the applicant who's looking, right? The one who reads every line, who knows the fee shifting math, who treats the paperwork slip as a payday. Now, imagine that same person doesn't get turned down and you actually rent to this person. They move in, and then 8 months later, there's a slip and fall on the stairs, or a fight over the deposit, or a habitability claim. You see, a perfect adverse action notice does nothing to protect you from the problem tenant. So if Brian owns his building in his own name, or all stacked multiple properties into one LLC, then a single bad outcome reaches everything he owns. You see, the compliance letter was, I'm going to call it hygiene, right? It was never asset protection, just to save you from getting attorneys coming after you where they know they can shake you down for money and you have no defense, unless you can show, like I did, was a one-off and you have a system in place. But my more or greater concern is the litigious applicant who taught Brian that lesson, that, previewing your tenant, okay, is actually going to go a long ways to protecting yourself.
The first one I did is I put somebody. You supposed to have a house that you supposed like. It's supposed to be a family house. My grandmother took in everybody. She didn't care that they was family. She had a big house and they stayed with her. Then she took people. She just take people that she knows. She didn't go looking into their history or anything like that. Those wasn't the times to be looking into that. These TransUnion jokers that you can get. See, in 2020, I was getting it. I got an idea from this guy right here in the credit game. Mike Rondo. So Mike constantly asking, like, yo, come on, get the money, come on, what can I do to do? Now you rushing me into something that I ain't got time to read. I need something in front of me to read sometimes, especially when you're doing something with a contract. Like Rondo, this is what happened to his company. And I paid this joker my money. They ain't give us our money back. I might wind up. You see how he,
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. In this video, I want to do an investigation on someone that just commented on my old video, who is Mike Rando of the Credit Game. Now, I initially published this back in 2021. Since this time, Mike has been shut down by the FTC. Hopefully,
by who? The FTC.
on a permanent basis, as he's scammed tons of people, defrauded them out of thousands and thousands of dollars. But just recently, a person by the name of Isaac came on this channel and made a comment. Isaac said here that he might be an asshole, but I listened to his free info all over YouTube, and I went from 645 to 811 credit score. He goes on to butter Mike Rando up, and then at the end he says, "I wish you luck, but remember, being an ass doesn't make you better." So I said, if that's true, you don't mind if I do a little research, do you? Now, obviously, I'm not going to wait for his response here, but we're going to go and try to verify his claims. Obviously, I can't pull a credit report, being that this is not a work file and it's just YouTube, but I think we might be able to learn some decent information by just doing a little research on this commenter. Okay, so first thing I'm doing is putting my notes in just Notepad. This way I can keep track of what I'm doing throughout the course of this investigation. I'm going to click on his profile, and it says that this channel doesn't have any content, but there is a video here, which is, I guess that's content. So there's an upload here by Isaac, and let's check out the About section. We have connecting you to the Law of Attraction is Real. So I'm going to take his channel link, and I'm going to put that into the note. All right, why don't we click on his video and see if we can learn any information about who he is or any link beyond what we already have.
Number 10.
Okay, so it looks like he's doing an honest review on something. Let's go down to the comments, or actually first the description. We have that website again. We have a comment from someone 2 months ago. Let's check out Isaac's response. Okay, so we have an email address right here that he gave. Yes, email me at zix@mindspring.com, and we'll go from there. So let me take that email and put it here into the note. Why don't we start with a Google search of that email and see what we can find. Okay, so I wanted to pre-screen this. I'll have to blur out a lot, but we have one website, which is Bodacious X BBW to SSBBW adult content. I can't read some of this stuff on my channel, but BBW, you can read what this says. His email is tied into that. Dirty Diva Entertainment on Twitter. Dom Goddess Nadia. Oh, and here's something. Laws of Success Coach. Your wishes, your command. That's the website that was in his About section. DeliciousOnDemand.com. All right, so let's take a look at these. And like I said, I'm decided to go to that site. Okay, this says, caution, this profile may include potentially sensitive content. Yep, there's definitely a lot of sensitive content. Followers, have fun. P.S. I always like my comments anyway. It is for the algorithm, not for your enjoyment. Oh, okay, yeah, because I had actually made a different comment that was slightly more abrasive and saying that it's interesting that he liked his comment immediately after he made it, and I deleted it and just left that one instead. So I responded, it's funny.
You can't be a skip tracer and use that on people to try to bring their shit on the internet. And they paying these big ass companies to keep their shit secret.
Here we go. I can't pronounce the name, and I don't want to butcher it, so you can see on screen for yourself. I am going to put that information into the note. We have some phone numbers as well. You know, I think I'll send him a text and just thank him for allowing me to do the investigation on him, and I'll let him know when the video is up. Okay, so that cell number I found for Bodacious TV, or for this guy Isaac, and the number translated to Bodacious TV. Oh, he just sent another message, so we'll get to that in just a second. But rather than read out this whole thing, I'll have it on screen. You can read it if you want. I will give some of the highlights here. I messaged him and, you know, just hoping he was a good sport about the investigation, told him I'd shade out the addresses and phone numbers, of course. Now, he responded back and said, like I said, I have nothing to hide. Mike Info worked for me very well, all his free YouTube videos, thereby confirming that the information that I found on True People Search is correct. I said that's fine, but he scammed tons of people and got a lot of money, and a lot of people suffered, basically. I also said that I did this because I thought it was the right thing to do. If I wanted to get followers, I'd be doing more TCAP videos, which I still do. So I asked him why someone wrote him a private apology, and he said that's private. But let's just say some YouTuber was talking shit about me and the way I leave comments. He apologized, so I'm cool. Then he showed a picture of this Experian screenshot right here of his credit score. It shows his name. It shows the score is 811 as of May 12th, 2022. Interesting to note too. Now I already had this information down in my notes, but interesting to note that it's confirmed here because right now the time is 9:37 p.m. I'm on the East Coast. He's on the West Coast, and it shows 6:20 p.m. So he must have just taken that. But there's the 3-hour difference there that does show the West Coast. So we talked some more, and you can just see from here. I showed him the FTC article. He says, "Oh, I don't read those things. I like to keep my mind positive." I said, "Well, it's real life stuff. His business was scamming thousands of people. You can keep your mind positive, but not ignore facts at the same time." He said he started to listen to Mike in the end of 2019. And I said, "So by early 2021, would you say that everything was corrected?" And he said, "No, it took me work. Now I have several, with the highest being Navy Fed, but it's all good. Stay safe, brother." I said, "Okay, I'll continue my investigation. I appreciate the communication. I will be fair in my video." And he said, "No worries, bro. I'm a people person. I love sharing my views and experiences. It helps me help people. Have a great night." Okay, so I will say that was a pleasant interaction. He was polite. I mean, he seemed kind of abrasive and rude in the comment, saying that I'm hating on people and just trying to get views and whatever. So he was pretty abrasive in his comment, but here by text, he definitely was a little nicer. And hey, I meant what I said. I try to keep my research as fair as possible and only throw out information if I have sources to cite. Now, one thing I did find recently was some PPP loans. This is PPP loan data, $3,619 on both loans, May 2021 and April 2021. Industry book publishers, yeah, I guess kind of. Jobs retained, one, so one employee being or forgiven, which doesn't really tell us anything. But on ProPublica, a search, because every search, not every result, but just search is $1. So I'm going to search for civil filings and then criminal filing case. Okay, so this was Capital Bank versus the subject in question. It says dissolution without minor children. I don't really think for this type of search, I don't really think it's necessary to show those. I do have a full name that includes the middle name of Inno. I might be mispronouncing that, INNO. This was a 2015 case. Okay, so this was Capital Bank versus the subject in question. Collections case, purchase debt, charge off consumer debt. Now, this is interesting because one of the things that Mike Rando said, and this was, I believe, in the first video I did on him, it was like a commentary video where he said never pay collection. He very clearly stated on more than one occasion, and he did this in follow-up videos, where he said that they legally can't purchase debt. So this shows right here that this was purchased debt, charged off consumer debt purchased on or after January 1st, 2014. Rando said that that can't happen. That can't legally happen. They can't pursue you. Now, it's a good thing that this guy was.
It can't. How are you gonna make you buy debt and then you didn't have an agreement with that person? Somebody signs your name to a contract for like a loan. You go to get a new car, you filling out paperwork for the dealership. They go and sign your name and go to a bank to get it. But they run your joint so many times to all of these banks. But how you supposed to pay somebody that you don't have an agreement with? That is the law. That, like, when people sit up here and they talk like this is the type of stuff that irritates me, because you didn't read the law. And if you know the law, you got to shepherdize it to make sure that another case didn't turn it over. And a lot of these judges are starting to turn cases over. Like, we wasn't never allowed to handle guns in Philly. Now, the judges, I can't help it. The judges seeing it a different way, like the Second Amendment. Like, I'm not supposed to be able to protect my family. I ain't never even felt like that I had to until this internet.
I was not listening to Rando pre 2015 because he probably would have saw that and been like, "Oh, Mike Rando says that an agency or company can't purchase debt, that's totally legal, so they absolutely can't pursue me for it." It's a good thing he started following Rando in 2019. So he says, "Click here to access document images for this case." Okay, so here's the case number right here, and let's
So let
go.
me show you how now Rando was right. Watch this. See, the thing is, these YouTubers, they don't make up the law. Congress makes the law. And then, uh, look, they got this John block. Hey, look, they ain't showing no enforcement action. But the credit game, they were on here. The credit game's whole Jones on here. So I told Ratchet, I said, yo, bro, I warned you. Yep, look at this shit. Yo, this
remember the Polaroid set that she made. I remember that.